Welcome to week 6 of our e-learning lessons. This is day 1 of our week 6 lessons, and I want to start with our performance task and then go to our essential questions. I will need to be able to read parts of a story each day to answer comprehension questions. To answer them, I will need to go back into the text and support my answers with text evidence. At times, I will need to explain my answer to show that I really do understand what the questions are asking. Your essential questions for day 1. How can I read the story and answer comprehension questions? How can I tell more about what I am saying in my answers? All the things in your reading this week are in your work packet. You do not need to go to anywhere else in the text or anywhere in the book or any other website. It's all right here in one place to make it easier for you to do your lessons. Your reading story for the week can be found in Clever, Lesson 13. If you need it. It's Clever, Think Central, then Lesson 13. You may view it at any time you need. If you cannot clearly read what's in the packet, please visit Clever, Think Central, and then finally go to Lesson 13 for your work. The reading's called Antarctic Journal. It is a narrative nonfiction, which means it's going to tell us a story. The nonfiction is going to include true facts about certain things. Jennifer Owens Dewey is the author. If you like, you may take time to read about the author, but I'm going to go ahead and start with the title page, Antarctic Journal. I see 2 penguins, and it looks like they're around some kind of rocks. 4 months at the bottom of the world. Written and illustrated by Jennifer Owens Dewey. The author has long had a vision of herself exploring Antarctica, what she calls the windiest, coldest, most forbidding region on Earth. She has recently traveled by plane and ship to this icy continent. Her first exciting encounter was with humpback whales, when her ship stopped to let them pass. Now, she has settled in at Palmer Station, where she'll be living for 4 months. During her visit to Antarctica, she plans to sketch, photograph, and write about this fascinating place. Now, this beginning part, it clearly shows me where she's going, why she's going there. It's kind of setting the setting part of the story, getting everything put in place. So when we actually read the story, it's going to make more sense. At the bottom, I have a little bit of a map right here on the side, so I have a visual feature. Then I have another visual feature showing the view looking away from Palmer Station. All that ice floating. If it's a journal, usually journals start with a date and then they have things written in it. Very similar to a diary. November 27th, Litchfield Island. In fair weather, I go to Litchfield Island and spend the day, sometimes the night. Litchfield is 3 miles from Palmer by inflatable boat, a protected island visited by 2 or 3 people a year. Before going to Litchfield, I'm shown how to walk on open ground in Antarctica. An inch of moss takes 100 years to grow. The careless scuff of a boot heel could rip out 200 years of growth in seconds. On page 379, here's her inflatable boat slowly moving across. Traveling by inflatable boat. I pack my food and extra clothes in a waterproof sea bag. A day pack holds pencils, pens, and paper for drawing and writing. There is no fresh water on the island. I carry 2 one-gallon canteens. Each island has an emergency cache of food and supplies, marked with a flag, available if a person gets stranded during a storm. Alone after being dropped off on the island, I hear bird calls, the whine of the wind, the waves pounding gravel shores, and no human sounds except my breathing. Twilight falls, and I crawl into my tent, alert and unable to sleep for a long time, listening to the sounds of the Antarctic night. Your assignment is to answer some questions. You've got 4 questions you need to answer based on the reading of those pages today, and then you're going to do a short reading about Antarctic fox and then answer the questions that go along with it. Day 1 questions. What was the purpose of the text box at the beginning of the reading on page 378? Why was that put in the reading? What purpose? Number 2, why does the author need to be shown how to walk on the ground? Go back in the text and give me specific text evidence. If you have a text box, I'm looking for complete, detailed sentences. Number 3, what was the meaning of the word koch on page 379? Second part of the question, what clues did you use? Number 4, based on what you know so far, what are 3 or 4 adjectives, words that describe the author? How did you come up with those words is the second part, your text evidence. And question 5, based on what you've read today on the November 27th Litchfield Island journal entry, summarize this in 1, 2, or 3 quick sentences to tell what was it about and give me 1 or 2 details to tell me specifically what was it about. Then I'm going to ask you to read on your own The Amazingly Adapted Arctic Fox by Guy Bellerante. Make sure you take time to read the passage. It's in your work packet. And when you get finished, you have 4 comprehension questions that go with that passage. Question 1. In the article, you learned how Arctic foxes are uniquely adapted to their environment. Describe 2 ways an Arctic fox's body helps it to stay warm in the cold Arctic climate. There's at least 5 or 6 different ways it uses things to stay warm. All I'm asking you to do is give me 2. Number 2, based on the information in the article, which choice best describes the amount of energy an Arctic fox uses when it hunts prey? Number 3, in the article, you learned that Arctic foxes are omnivores. Based on what you know about an Arctic fox's diet, pick the animal that might have the most similar diet to an Arctic fox. Question 4. The article doesn't mention whether or not Arctic foxes are endangered species. That means they're almost gone. If you had to take an educated guess, your best guess, based on the text, would you say that the Arctic fox is an endangered, threatened, or populous, meaning there are a lot of them? And what clues did you use to help you come up with this answer? Once you finish that question, you are done with day 1's work. Make sure you go back into the article for this assignment and give me text evidence that specifically answers each question. Each question must be done with complete sentences. Also take time to work on your iReady reading and your iReady math minutes. If you have questions, please make sure you take time to reach out to your teachers. We are here to help you work through them, so make sure we take our time and give us our best work. Thank you for participating in week 6, day 1 of our e-learning lessons.